be hopeful. What are our hopes for Phase 5 and beyond?
The multiverse actually being explored properly. I would like to see some of our older characters get the respect they deserve. And I'm hoping to see Kang actually become a proper threat. You know, actually start to plant the seeds of dread that we started to get with Thanos.
Concise direction.
Yeah.
In some ways, I want to see less crossover, and in other ways, I want to see more. I'd like TV shows that don't feel like movies extended. I would like to see characters get their own trilogies that can have overall arcs in them.
They could do it if they actually do it properly, but yeah, I guess we'll
just have to see.
We were gone for quite a while.
Oh man, it's been a long 2 years, hasn't it? I mean, since 2023, I'm sure we've all had our own highs and lows, triumphs and defeats. But whatever's happened to us in the past 2 years, good or bad, I'm sure we've had a better time than Marvel, which, with their recently released Phase 5, I have to deem yet another step back. And in some ways, a step forward, so it kind of goes nowhere. What do you think of Phase 5, Matt?
I binged, well, basically all of it in the last week.
Madman.
My take on Phase 5 is that it's not as bad as Phase 4. The good stuff in it's really good, but the bad stuff is really bad, and there's just a lot of mid.
When I decided that I wanted to do this list around the beginning of the year, I had a similar experience where I thought, right, okay, let's see how much I've actually seen. And I was horrified to discover that I'd only watched 3 of the films, and I was like, damn, I really did fall off with this. We'll get into our thoughts about Phase 5 as we go through the ranking, and then we'll have a bit at the end where we sort of summarize everything. For now, I think we're just going to get into the ranking. 13 titles in this.
Lucky 13, my lucky number.
There might have been a couple of animated shows that we forgot about, so I apologize if there was an animated show or two that wasn't considered for this list.
I don't apologize. I say up yours if you're annoyed about that.
Another thing to mention is that the new Fantastic Four won't be a part of this list because it's Phase 6. I know that might seem obvious to some, but some people don't know when the phases start to begin, so I just thought it was worth mentioning. How it's going to work is I'm going to do my 13 through 8, and then Matt is going to do his 13 through 8. I'm going to do my 7 through 3. Matt's going to do his 7 through 3. I'm going to talk about my runner-up. Matt's going to talk about his runner-up. And then that will leave us both with 1. So we'll just gush about our favourite one for a bit. So I was really thinking about my number 13 because there was nothing quite as egregious as something like, you know, a She-Hulk attorney at law or anything like that.
I disagree. Yes, there is.
So I kind of had to think about what just really missed the mark on all cylinders and just undercut its own ambition and its own potential. For me, at number 13, I had to put The Secret Invasion. Yeah, The Secret Invasion, yeah, what? At the beginning, it started off kind of okay. It had intrigue to it. You're following some characters that we're familiar with, and then it turns out, oh, they were a Skrull. Yeah, expect for that to happen quite a bit in this show. It just goes so incredibly south towards the end, where you have characters like Maria Hill, for example, getting killed within the first couple of episodes, and I just felt absolutely nothing when she died. Now that I know that she has never been a main character in the MCU, but I would like to think in an ideal world that a character from Phase 1 dying in Phase 5 would have had some kind of an impact, but it just didn't. Ben Mendelsohn's character, he did an absolutely great job in Andor Season 2, and again, the character of Talos was a likable character. Then they just kill him off, and again, nothing. That is a real defeat in my eyes. I think what pisses me off the most is the fact that it has such a brooding, serious atmosphere and attitude, almost as if it's trying to be like the Andor of the MCU. But then when you get to the end and it's just ridiculous fight scenes with like the most powerful being of all time who they don't really seem to be that concerned about. I don't know, it just has a bit of a sheep in wolf's clothing vibe. Now, just to be clear, not a wolf in sheep's clothing, a sheep in wolf's clothing. It has such a hard and tough exterior, but then when you get down to the real soul of it, it is literally just the same as every other show. If I'm really thinking about what show really failed to capture what it was going for, Secret Invasion has to be the biggest culprit, I'm afraid. Bad.
It's very bad.
Right, so on to number 12.
Oh.
Echo.
Oh. What? Why?
Again, right, you're going to hear this a lot whilst I'm talking about these shows. It's another show that starts off all right and has a bit of promise.
Yeah, agree.
I mean, Echo as a character, I think is decent, but the story that they should have told should have centered around Fisk's rising up to power rather than exploring this ancient shaman magic that she's inherited. I'd just completely fallen off by the middle of it. Again, Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk is good as usual. It's business as usual when it comes to him. He's always great. It's another one of those shows that kind of, it justifies its existence with its post-credit sequence when Wilson Fisk is watching the TV and has a bit of a Goldie Wilson moment from Back to the Future and goes, "Mayor, I think I'll be mayor." I'm going to talk a bit more about post-credit sequences when I get to my next entry because I feel like I can kind of tie them both together. Echo kind of fell off. Again, I would like to see the character in something better, but yeah, for this list, I've put Echo at number 12.
We have already deviated in our rankings.
At number 11, I have
Oh.
The Marvels.
What? Why? There are so many worse ones.
Because, again, it's one that I caught up with, I mean, like most of this, it's one that I caught up with in preparation for this list. And it's a film that I don't know why it exists. It sort of feels like a part 3 to a Captain Marvel trilogy where we didn't get a part 2. So it has some light Rise of Skywalker vibes for me, personally. The story was very unengaging and quite lackluster. The villain was laughably bad, just terrible. It was like a knockoff Ronan the Accuser, even to the point where she has like the same hammer. But it's also weird because it kind of glows purple, like when he had the Infinity Stone in it, when there is no Infinity Stone. So it's almost like the sketch artist that was copy and pasting it forgot about that little detail. You thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. The standout for sure is definitely Kamala Khan / Miss Marvel. I think she's doing great. So again, I said I was going to bring the post-credits point round on the next entry. So in Echo, we had it Wilson Fisk looking at the TV and saying, "Oh, I want to be mayor." In this, we have Monica Rambeau going to another universe, and she wakes up in what I assume is the Xavier mansion. You see Kelsey Grammer back as Beast. Now, look, I'm a simple man. I like seeing Kelsey Grammer coming back as Beast, so that's great. However, I think both those post-credit scenes should have been what the entire stories were about. So when you take Echo, it should have been Echo trying to stop Wilson Fisk's rise to power as the mayor. Then maybe at the end she fails, and then that's where Daredevil has to come in Daredevil Born Again. I know it's not quite that cut and dry when you watch that show, but, you know, it at least would have been cool to get some context about the things we actually care about. And in this case, I think the movie would have worked much better having the film be about them going to another universe and then meeting the X-Men and then bringing them into the fold. I just feel like they would have been better stories than just having them as post-credit sequences just to try and justify their existences. But no. In this case, we have a planet where people communicate by singing and dancing. Okay. All right, so we're doing that instead of meeting. Okay, all right. Right, on to number 10. Oh God.
I'm really interested as to what number 10 is. Oh.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Okay, yeah. It fucking sucks.
Oh, Jesus. I think people forget quite how much was riding on this film. It's similar to what's going on with Fantastic Four at the moment. It's kicking off a new phase, it's introducing a new villain, and in this case, with Ant-Man, it's rounding out the Ant-Man trilogy. This was meant to be the big kickoff to Phase 5. This was meant to introduce Kang, the Conqueror, as the new villain. When you actually get down to it, it does basically none of that. And it's a complete fucking train wreck. One thing I've got to talk about here is the humor. It is probably some of the most abrasive humor I think I've ever heard in Marvel. It totally has that Thor Love and Thunder type energy to it, where you have, in this case, Jonathan Majors. He is acting his arse off trying to make this a compelling story. And then right next to him, you have literally my least favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe character of all time, and that being, you guessed it, MODOK. I just remember sitting in the theater thinking, I fucking hate this guy. This guy's awful. This guy's terrible. He's not funny. He's kind of nightmare fuel as well if you look at him too long, and it completely botches the character from the first Ant-Man rather than making MODOK a new, interesting character. It was so much like other things that we'd already seen. I mean, Star Wars, for example, you do. This shit was more like Star Wars than friggin' Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't even know how it's possible, as that's meant to be a space opera. The ending is just a complete sellout, and they play it completely safe. Again, this movie had everything to prove, and it ended up proving nothing. And because of everything that's happened since, and them kind of retconning this whole Kang the Conqueror storyline, or just moving away from it entirely, its legacy dwindles more and more by the day. Number 9.
Ooh.
The rest of What If. Okay, look, it's no secret that I've never really been the biggest fan of this show. I wasn't too crazy about season 1, and I'm not really that crazy about these 2 seasons either, because I feel like where it loses some faith with me is its title, What If. I feel like this show would have done a lot better if they called it Tales of the Multiverse or something like that, because that's essentially what this show is. It's not really taking certain aspects of the MCU, changing a couple of minor elements or decisions, and then telling a story based off that. It's more like, oh, imagine if this happened in a different universe, but then also imagine that they got this and this and this, and yeah, it just doesn't really track at all for me. There's only really a couple of decent ideas in the entirety of these 2 seasons, which I actually found kind of enjoyable, like what if Nebula joined the Ravagers. That one was pretty cool. I'm always up for seeing a more Guardians of the Galaxy, more Nebula, so that was decent. It was a decent time. That episode where what if Yondu gave Peter Quill to his father, and then they actually show his life to turn out actually better than what it would have done, which I think is pretty fucked up, to be honest. The biggest offender of this, what if Howard the Duck got hitched? It is just pure nightmare fuel. Darcy hooks up with Howard the Duck, you know, Darcy from Thor and all that. They're trying to protect their kid who's like in an egg. But I think the worst part is that I don't need to know what would happen if Howard the Duck got hitched, because I already saw that in Howard the Duck the movie. Something that doesn't really help either is if you watch it with your eyes closed, it kind of sounds like Chris Griffin is married to Bart Simpson, so that kind of makes matters even worse. Yeah, wow.
How did that get commissioned? Who sat there and went, we need an episode of TV where Darcy from Thor 1, that most people probably don't remember, gets it on with a duck? Who signed that off?
I would love to know. If anyone could tell me, that'd be great. But yeah, what the f was that? As someone who has never really had much of a connection to this show, these last 2 seasons did very little to bring me around to it. So yeah, number 8.
Oh,
I have Agatha All Along.
oh, you are so wrong. That is no. You are incorrect, sir.
Touched a nerve, have I, Matt?
I knew you were gonna put that low.
It's not that low. So Agatha All Along, right. This show, out of the TV shows, did seem to have some success. I would say it definitely has its strengths. I think the main thing is almost kind of showing me what it would be like if Hocus Pocus was in the MCU. That kind of vibe and that kind of mystical adventure did work pretty well. It's kind of constructed to be a spiritual successor to both WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2. It's kind of carrying on that storyline. And whether this is a positive or a negative, I think is up to the individual. They do kind of make Doctor Strange 2 worse by stating that Billy Maximoff's spirit is just floating around in our world, when she went like 3 universes over and killed a bunch of people to try and get her children. So that makes that plotline even worse. I'm just throwing it out there. I feel like there are a few misses, but there's also few thrills too. So that's why it kind of ends up in the middle for me. It's erring on the side of good for me. Yeah, that is me done. We're going to hand over to you.
Over to me, who has a lot less to say about all of these, but I will get started. Number 13 is Secret Invasion.
Bravo.
I started watching it when it first came out and I had to stop because it was so bad. And then I tried to watch it again. I had to stop again because it was so bad. And then this time now, I tried my best to get through it, and I couldn't even finish the last episode.
Oh, damn.
I fucking hated it. It was dull, boring, uninteresting. Every boring bad thing about Marvel in a series. There's like meta jokes to Samuel L. Jackson saying motherfucker that just are... I'm watching it, I'm just going like, nothing's going on, but there's so much going on and the implications for the universe are huge. So I don't know how they managed to pull that off, but congratulations. This is also the first of the many shows that just should have been a movie. Or should have been like a straight to Disney Plus movie if they don't want to do a theatrical release. It's dragged out to no end. I'd find in general stories based around, is this character actually an alien? Are just rubbish. Just sort of in general.
Right.
Yeah, every character is unlikable. Like I didn't connect with or enjoy a single character. Nick Fury went from the cool guy that's up with the Avengers to nothing. just useless and does nothing. And yeah, Daenerys Targaryen deserved better.
She's deserved better for a while, my friend.
Yeah, given the end of that show as well. Yeah. Which brings me to number 12, which is Ant-Man. You literally just spoke about this, so I echo all of your points. But I'll also add it is the worst Ant-Man film. It did the opposite of Captain America, basically. It got progressively worse. I just mainly remember sitting down going, yeah, we're going into Microverse. And at the end being like, was that it? The big new Thanos level threat, a threat that has to be capable of taking on Thor and Wanda, gets his ass kicked by ants.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say before we move on is that I think the marketing team definitely deserves a raise. I mean, sometimes I go back and watch the trailer for that film, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll check it out again. But then, I'm like, no.
They recast his daughter, which felt very mean-spirited, I remember. And yeah, didn't like it. Not good. Brings us on to number 11.
Oh.
At number 11, I have What If?
Okay, yeah.
To be honest, this is mainly here because I didn't see all of it, but what I saw wasn't as bad as those two. I kind of feel like it doesn't even belong in the list. I was tempted to put it just as like outside of the list. It's just sort of like a, I don't know, pretty irrelevant to be honest. Like, irrelevant stuff is fine, but it's like you say, it should have been Tales from the Multiverse. The one I watched had it had Agatha. Yeah, had Agatha, and I think it was the guy from Eternals, the Bollywood guy. They were just having a dance-off, and I was like, the fuck am I watching? And then she turned into a Celestial or something. And then I watched another one where the Avengers turned into Mecha Avengers or something. I was just like...
Oh, it's just Power Rangers.
They fucking love Red Phoenix at the moment, don't they? Jesus, he's popping up everywhere.
Oh, Red Guardian.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What If is there? Mainly, the notes I have on it are irrelevant because that's how I feel about it. That was number 11. On to number 10, a TV show you haven't mentioned yet. Ironheart. There are two types of TV show that Marvel does. There are the TV shows, which are actually pretty decent. And then there's the 5 or 6 episodes, clearly were meant to be movies, but instead they needed to fill out Disney Plus and did a TV show instead. It's fine. It's not an abomination. It's just really boring. A lot of media does this, and Marvel's doing it a lot, is they are self-aggrandizing their own universe in universe. It really takes me out of it, and it's really annoying. So there was like a scene where they're talking about how much they love Thor, and then the meta level on top of that is it's Marvel going, hey, we're Marvel. Look how good we are, we're Marvel. Just constantly. I don't need to hear about how cool Thor is from the company that made Thor. I feel like if I put effort into thinking about the plot, which I don't think they put effort into writing it, it'd probably fall apart a lot more, but it's so bog standard that I can't really be bothered to think about it too much. Brings me on to number 9. Oh, number 9 is Loki Season 2.
Oh, wow.
I did not like Loki Season 2. I found it confusing. I found it dull, and I found it boring. It was the epitome of all technobabble, no character writing. That's what it felt like when I was watching it. I was like, I'm just watching people say nonsense words to get to the next nonsense situation to say more nonsense words. The plot makes next to no sense. I can't remember or even know why the fucking clock is now evil for some reason. And then Kang shows up, but it's not Kang, it's like the actual guy. It's too messy. What it feels like to me with Loki Season 2, it feels like Marvel watched Doctor Who and said, Tom Hiddleston would make a good Doctor Who. Let's try and make a Doctor Who-esque show with time travel, but attach it to Loki. And it just don't work. And once again, this one should have been a movie. And then my final note is, Kang is rubbish, but I've already said that. Which brings me to my last one before throwing it back to you. Number 8 is Echo. I thought the first episode of Echo was really quite good.
I agree.
It was really fast-paced, it set up a lot, and it just sort of nosedived after that. I think where we differ is I found the Native American stuff really interesting, especially the scene where they're like playing like a version of, I don't know, hockey or something. I don't know what they're playing. It was also shot really interestingly, which I quite liked. Found the lead character of Maya pretty flat and characterless. Beyond the Native American stuff, there's not that much that's interesting. And once again, it would have been good if it was a movie. And yeah, that was my number 8. To summarize all of that, it's mostly TV shows that would have been better as films. Anyway, I will throw it back to you for your 7 to 3.
All right, so coming in at number 7, we have Ironheart. I feel like I'm probably puzzling a few people by putting this one as high as I have.
Yeah, it puzzled me.
I would say that this show isn't great, really, but I feel like what puzzles me is why everyone is kind of deeming this as the worst Marvel show of all time. It's like, Of all the things we've had in this phase and in phase 4, it's like, really? This one?
Yeah, no, it's not the worst of all time. It's just boring.
It does have its redeeming qualities. I liked the direction that they went with Riri, Ironheart. We basically have a flawed character's journey who ultimately ends up making the wrong choice by the end of it, which I thought was an interesting way to go. People are always complaining, like, with female protagonists, oh, they're too perfect, they're too strong, like, they never put one foot out of line, they're just Mary Sue's. With this, we actually do have a character who is flawed, who does make mistakes. They did just about enough for me, anyway, to kind of bring me round on her character backstory and show me why I should be feeling sympathy even though she's doing a lot of questionable things on screen. Bringing in Ezekiel Staines, or Obadiah Staines' son. So mid, so uninspired. This could have been any character. I mean, again, we're dealing with a protagonist who makes it known pretty much from the get-go that she doesn't really feel a lot of attachment to Tony Stark, which I think was a bit of a misfire within itself, but you know, you're basically bringing in a character who was part of the origin of Iron Man, and you're pairing him up with someone who doesn't really want anything to do with Iron Man. So in terms of the drama, it doesn't really work. Giving him weird technology-based superpowers like he's fucking Kang the Conqueror in a bargain bin was just, yeah, again, so mid, and just didn't care for it. I'm definitely intrigued to see where they go with Mephisto going forward, because I feel like in the few scenes that we had with him, I thought Sacha Baron Cohen did a pretty good job bringing an element of menace and mystique to the character. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where they go with that. But yeah, not that great, but not that terrible. So in a way, it makes it harder for me to rank these. There's just a few little things in here which made me think, okay, yeah, that did kind of work. So but then that will take us over to number 6. So there we go, guys. We're just outside the top 5. We're getting some really good stuff now. No, we're not. It's Captain America Brave New World.
Ah, we have the same number 6. Spoiler.
It's a film where I just don't really know why it exists. I mean, I will give it credit and say that it does at least attempt to bring the universe together, which it seems like Marvel has been making an effort to break it apart and go in its own different directions. However, with this, you know, we have some reference to what happened with the Eternals, the Celestial being almost like a harborer of adamantium, and that being the big conflict. Incredible Hulk as well, bringing some recognition to that. Samuel Stern's, his look is just proper goofy. It's like the old way of doing comic book movies where they're too afraid to do the comic accurate look, so they kind of go the edgy horror movie route and have his like brain bulging out and shit like that. If I'm gonna say anything good about him though, I would say that I would have much preferred it if in the marketing they focused more on him than Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk being the villain, because that's meant to be like the big third act surprise, and it comes round and it's just like, oh, we're like right at the end of the movie, like where else are we gonna go? Nowhere really, but it just sort of ends. There's this one bit right at the beginning where new Captain America, Sam, is like literally soaring down from the sky like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then he lands and it's literally, it literally just sounds like somebody dropped a football. Like from a sound point of view, yeah, that really rubbed me the wrong way and it had no impact. Yeah, I mean, again, there's not really much to say about it. It has few hits and a few more misses. Harrison Ford was good. I could say that. Harrison Ford was at least good. Right, we're into the top 5 now, folks. So at number 5, Loki Season 2.
What?
Which I liked more than the first season, actually.
What?
I personally did like the central characters. Loki, Mobius, Sylvie comes back. I mean, all their character dynamics work really well. The introduction of Obi, great. I found him entertaining. Yeah, I guess what this show does is it does give Loki somewhat of a conclusion for now. I know that he's going to appear in Avengers Doomsday, but his sacrifice, if you will, at the end did work quite well. It actually did give him a character arc where I felt like he was sorely lacking in the first season, because it's basically like, oh, we're just gonna take bad Loki and make him good after watching some, you know, YouTube clips of the MCU up until that point. They managed to damage control Jonathan Major's departure from the MCU relatively well, I think. I can't tell whether that was just part of the story and then they just treated that as the conclusion, or if it was just kind of a happy accident, managed to make it seem artificially like that was the plan from the beginning. But yeah, I mean, most things work quite well. I oddly found it quite coherent most of the time. I guess is where we differ on that front. I remember watching it and just enjoying my time watching it. It had that vibe, it had that charm from the first one, but kind of upgraded. Yeah, there's not really much more I could have asked for from that. Now we get into the really good ones. So At number 4, I have Daredevil Born Again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Their decision at the beginning to kill off Foggy, I still have slight mixed feelings on, but I feel like by the end they did make it into quite a compelling device, which led to where we got to at the end. Charlie Cox is the fucking man. He totally shows up to this like he hadn't had a day off the set. I mean, like, another thing, this does actually feel like a proper TV show. The only reason for me why it's not a bit higher is because I feel like at times there are kind of two visions going on at once, and I shouldn't even say it feels like that, because it is that. The beginning and the end is one writing team, and the middle is another one. And with season 2, it's been confirmed that it's only going to be one writing team, the ones that did the beginning and the end. So I feel like that is going to be a much more solid season. The violence, the grit definitely wasn't missing from the original show, although I would say that the action is a bit weaker. But I would say that the show is always better when the Punisher or Karen Page are on screen, because their absence was really felt during the middle, I think. And yeah, I even enjoyed the bottle episode. Yeah, Daredevil Born Again, great show. I'm really glad that they actually managed to put it off. Coming at number 3 for me, just outside the top 2, is Thunderbolts Argo.
I was gonna make that joke.
Were you actually?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I guess this is like the official closing off of Phase 5. And I think quite a bit did work about it. I mean, like, there's only like minor things that I felt like did hold it back a bit. And that's stuff that holds a lot of the other projects back, being things like the humor didn't always work for me. By no means the worst, but like it was noticeable in some places. Its central theme of self-belief and past trauma, you know, all leading into mental health, was a very relatable and compelling storyline. It gives it more of that kind of human element rather than just being a superficial MCU, gotta kill the bad guys, gotta blow up a city in order to do so. That really came across really quite well in this movie. There's something about a group of characters who aren't really well renowned and spend an entire film not really believing in themselves, then becoming, well, for now, the new Avengers. I just think there's something really nice to be said about that, and I did come away from it kind of, you know, I don't know, having a bit of catharsis from that journey. Bob as well, the villain. Bob, short for Robert, like me. Also a really good villain because he doesn't have any sort of world-shattering diabolical plan. He's just a guy who needs help, you know, just like our heroes. Makes them coming together at the end, fighting their own demons to be, yeah, just something that just worked. And I'm really glad that we kind of closed off this phase, you know, in terms of the movies, with a really nice high. And it does set up what's going to be happening in Phase 6 with the post-credit scene showing that the Fantastic Four will be making their debut. Looking forward to that. Back over to you, sir.
Back over to me. Coming in hot with my number 7, I have The Marvels.
Right, okay.
I didn't think this was nearly as bad as it was made out to be. It was pretty bad, but it wasn't nearly as bad as made out to be. It's one of those films that was fine. Was it the most generic Marvel film ever? Maybe. Was it really choppy in the edit? Yep, definitely. I thought the potential was pretty strong. I thought the gimmick of them swapping about and not knowing why and then using that to their advantage to win was good. The villain was bad, but also it wasn't really a film about the villain, so I can forgive that a bit more. It was more about these 3 leads coming together as the Marvels, I guess. It was just really mid, and it wasn't as bad as everything else I've spoken about so far, mainly. Coming up to number 6, which I spoiled already, is Captain America: Brave New World. This is the most Captain America of Captain America movies, where there's a generic government conspiracy and Captain America has to walk the line between following the government and doing what's right. Well, I wonder, was there plans for this to be a TV show first and they changed it into a movie? Because it's much better as a movie, but I can see how it might have been a TV show. The other shows, such as Echo, Secret Invasion, and so on, would be so much better if they were in this format of this movie. It's the kind of film my dad would love, because it's the classic conspiracy thing. The villain's fine. Harrison Ford is fine. They probably shouldn't have spoiled Red Hulk in the trailer, given he was only in it for 2 minutes. I'm glad to see the Celestials got acknowledged. That was cool. People call this a nitpick, but I don't think it's a nitpick. By the rules of their own power levels in universe, Sam Wilson should be dead. He should have died the instant Hulk just sort of touched him, to be perfectly honest. It's the whole Superman versus Batman problem. We love the idea of Superman versus Batman, or like Hulk versus human that goes to the gym a bit. I don't like it when power levels are incorrectly used, and it's very incorrectly used. I think he throws him through a whole fucking building and he's the first one to get up. That's Captain America Brave New World. It's fine. It's probably the worst Captain America film, but it's also just okay. Like, if this was all Marvel did now, I'd be like, Marvel's fine. It's not terrible, it's just alright. On to number 5, I have Thunderbolts. It's fun, and I enjoyed all the characters, especially Yelena, and I've written in my notes Red Phoenix again. Red Guardian. Yelena and Red Guardian, I think the best parts of the movie.
They're definitely the standout.
The villain. I really liked the visual demonstration of his powers. I thought it was just a really cool and striking visual. As with all of these, it was a bit boring at points, and it was very just sort of like standard. Did feel like a classic mid-level Marvel movie. So like back in the day when you got, I don't know, like Doctor Strange or Ant-Man, any of those sort of like, they're not like the big hitters, but they're decent mid-level. It felt like one of those, which is also kind of like the high point of where we're currently at. It was also very Suicide Squad coded. I was watching it and I was thinking, this feels like Suicide Squad, and now I kind of want to watch Suicide Squad instead.
Even to the point where they had like a shocking death right at the beginning with Taskmaster, who continues to be completely wasted, but that was very James Gunn Suicide Squad-esque.
Yeah, and then feeding into that, it kind of lacks its own style because of that, because it's very clearly someone in Marvel has gone, let's do our own version of Suicide Squad. And it's like, what part of Suicide Squad? Everything but the names. It's like, okay. Yeah, I thought it was fine, and that was my number 5. Bringing me on to number 4, I have Agatha All Along.
Oh boy.
I thought I was gonna fucking hate Agatha All Along. I didn't go in like trying to hate it, but I thought, I'm not gonna like this, I'm gonna find this boring. Then I saw it was 9 episodes, and I was like, maybe it's actually a TV show rather than an extended movie. And it was. I liked it because it was interesting. It was different. It didn't feel like I was saying about Brave New World and Thunderbolts, they feel like bog standard Marvel stuff. This didn't feel like bog standard Marvel stuff. It felt like it had its own identity, its own style and character. It's not the best thing in the world ever, but it's above the current Marvel average. I really liked Agatha as a character. Billy Maximoff, I really liked his character. Despite being predictable and saw every reveal coming a mile off, I still enjoyed them because they were like logical and made sense. Another point I enjoy, which is probably not spoken about much, I really enjoyed how it embraces its queerness without feeling like it's pandering. It's basically come out going, we're a queer show, but it doesn't feel like they're coming out saying, we're a queer show, look how good we are. It just is what it is, and I quite enjoyed that. I really like Agatha as a character. I didn't think I was gonna like Agatha as a character, but I really did. The actress is great. And I've had that fucking Witches song stuck in my head for ages, and I love the Witches song. There are moments where characters can just sit down and talk, and it's not about plot, it's about character. So that's why that's number 4, Agatha All Along. I quite liked it. On to number 3, I have Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Okay.
It was brilliant, as was to be expected. It maintained its style from all of the previous ones. It carried it on perfectly. The main thing that I love about it is the exploration of Rocket as a character and his backstory and why he is the way he is. It's probably the best character work in the movie side of the MCU. It takes the Guardians, perfectly caps off their trilogy, and most importantly, it has the perfect use of the first ever F-bomb in Marvel.
Yeah, and if that's not to be celebrated, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I don't know what is. I'll chuck it back over to you for your number 2.
So my runner-up, my number 2 is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, so's mine.
Yeah, Matt, do you remember when we did the pre-MCU Marvel movies?
Yes.
Way back in the day when we were just watching through those, we got up to Daredevil, I
Yeah.
think. My main idea for doing that was to prepare us for the multiverse saga. But what it actually turned out to be was preparation for this film.
Yeah.
It basically brings a lot of the high and the low parts of the pre-MCU Marvel movies, and it just gives us such a good time. It works very well as a Deadpool movie, but it also has the job of trying to establish it in the MCU, which I also think it did a really good job in doing. Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine, you already know that it's gonna be amazing, and he totally showed up for this film. Such good stuff. His back and forth with Deadpool was just hilarious. As someone who really loved Logan, like a lot of others, I'm sure I was very kind of nervous about how they were gonna respect the passing and the weight of the death of Wolverine. Simple solution to that was literally just that they're not gonna do that. And we're just gonna have fun with this. But with that being said, I definitely liked that there was a bit more time between Wolverine and X-23. Just a few more scenes between those two felt, I don't know, strangely precious in a way. I can't tell you how hyped I was when the superheroes are walking out and I saw motherfucking Wesley Snipes back again as Blade. It also just makes me want Marvel to just do another Blade film with Wesley Snipes. You know, just sack off the other project that they've been trying to get off the ground for God knows how long, and just do like an old man Blade, because canonically the character of Blade does age like an actual human, so it would totally work. There's no reason why they shouldn't do it. Fucking get it made. The end credit sequence with Good Riddance by Green Day did get me pretty choked up. I don't know, it was a really nice kind of end of term summary. You know what I mean? It was a great memoriam for things like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and, you know, all the things that we loved growing up as kids.
I will say, a little bit of criticism. The story starts to fall apart when you start thinking about it, but I don't think that's the point of these films. I don't think they're meant to be really tightly written, no plot hole sort of things. They're meant to just be fun, and that's what it does primarily, and does it very well. The chemistry between Deadpool and Wolverine is fantastic, probably because I suspect the two actors are actually probably quite good friends in real life. The framing of them having that long fight in the car,
Yep.
hilarious. Bringing back Chris Evans, getting to see Gambit. I didn't even know about that, and I thought it was cool. I haven't watched the Deadpool films recently, but I reckon it'd probably be either my first or second favorite Deadpool film, and that's saying something.
With Chris Evans coming back as Human Torch, Johnny Storm. When you saw that in the theater, did you think it was going to be Captain America?
I didn't believe it was going to be Johnny Storm, but I kind of knew it was, but I didn't believe it, if that makes sense. I was sitting there going like, they're not going to. Of course they won't. I mean, it makes sense, but no, they're not going to. Oh, it is! It was that sort of reaction.
Right, okay. It completely had me fooled. I thought it was like a Captain America situation. I have no shame in saying that. I was completely fooled, and then when it turned out to be fucking Johnny Storm and he goes flame on, I just lost it. I just completely lost it.
And then got all of his skin ripped off.
Yep.
Just to say again about like the idea of meta humor and meta-ness in media, it works in Deadpool because his whole character is built around knowing that he's a superhero in a movie or in a comic or whatever. It annoys me in other places because it's not part of the character. I do get concerned that they've seen the success of Deadpool and thought, meta humor, that's what's good about it, and that's why that's now polluting everywhere else. The main thing with Deadpool and Wolverine, it is fun.
I don't want Marvel to necessarily promise me a new Blade movie, but at the very least, make an educated wish.
I skate up that hill or whatever and get it made. Anyway, on to our number ones.
So yeah, number one, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
My number one, as you can probably guess, is Daredevil Born Again.
I had to put this at number one unconditionally just because no other MCU project I think ever has hit me in the same way that this has. I don't know, it just sort of hit on more of a personal level. I think I watched it at the exact perfect time in my life where you're sort of figuring out kind of what you want to do in life, and you start to make bigger, bolder decisions, learning to let certain things go. And Peter Quill's decision at the end, deciding to just go away and work on himself for a little bit, you know, I think is a very relatable, and it was a very profound message to have towards the end. Everything with Rocket, completely tragic. It's probably the most traumatized, should I say, that I've ever been watching an MCU project. Really one of those rare cases for me where just all the stars aligned and really kind of made for something really special.
I really liked this series. This is probably the only thing in this phase where I put it on, because I watch a lot of this second screen just to get through it while I'm editing on the other screen. This one was playing and I was sort of doing my normal watching, and then I had to pause it and go, no, I need to actually watch this because this is actually really good. And then I had to start again because I was like, I feel I just need to watch this. And yeah, the opening scene with the one take, I don't know if it's a true one take, with Foggy getting shot and then him fighting Bullseye, Matt committing the sin of murdering essentially. And then the whole series, like, being this dance between Fisk and Matt, but, like, not that on the nose. There's one scene where Fisk and Matt are both finally embracing their dark side at the same time, but not with each other. And it's such a nice parallel between them.
I think in Guardians, for me as well, I found the villain somebody who I just despise. That really added a new layer of drama, which I think a lot of other MCU projects are missing. We see how despicable he is to things less powerful than him. I liked the balls of James Gunn to, well, one, use the first F-bomb in Marvel. I remember that clip getting released before the movie, and I just thought, ha! Nice, someone had to do it eventually, I guess. And no one better than James Gunn. I also like the way that they didn't just have Peter Quill and Gamora get together by the end, even though it's a variant of Gamora, and I feel like James Gunn did roll with the punches of that being a plot point in Infinity War really quite well. I think it was tragic, but it was realistic as what would happen. The one-take hallway scene, just great. Soundtrack, great. There was no better pick for my number one. I feel like this film is going to have a very good legacy as wrapping up the Guardians as we know them. There was just no better goodbye for my favorite group of heroes in the MCU. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is my favorite MCU movie of all time, so to get a good conclusion to that, yeah, a lot of the other things on this list didn't really stand a chance when I come to think of it.
It's got the Punisher in it, bruv. Like, how can it not be number one? It's got John Berthel as the Punisher in it, being full-on Punisher. It's got a bottle episode that's great. The story itself is slow, but it's really engaging. Also, does the bottle episode have another character's uncle or dad in it or something? Is that who he was?
Yeah, it's Miss Marvel's dad, yeah.
It was at the end, I went, wait a minute, was that actually that? So yeah, I get that's a good way of tying it together without it being shoved in your face. The other reason it's number one is I generally prefer TV shows over movies as a format when they're done right and done well. I watched it and I went, holy shit, that is still Daredevil. They're in a really good place for season 2 now. The reveal of Fisk wants to port because it creates essentially a maritime, there's no law here zone for him to do whatever he wants. I was like, that's actually clever. Because I was sitting there the whole time watching it going, you're convincing me here that Fisk is actually wanting to be a good mayor. Like, he's got questionable methods, but you guys are starting to convince me he's just... Oh, that's clever. I was doing some looking up, and apparently the Punisher is going to be in the next Spider-Man.
I've heard whispers, yeah.
But also, interesting to note, my top 2 were the rated R ones. Coincidental, but also quite interesting.
I still have a lot of love for your number one, Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, and I mean, Guardians is great.
So there you go, Phase 5, completely ranked. 2 perspectives, 2 lists, 2 favourites by the end of it.
Yeah.
Phase 5 is wrapped up, it's over. We can now look at it in retrospect whilst also looking forward. What did you think of Phase 5 and what are your sort of expectations going forward, if there are any expectations?
Yeah, from what I remember, I think it was better than Phase 4. There's a lot of course correcting going on. There's a lot of directions they've now taken that I think they can move into a space where they can make better, more interesting things. The one thing that confuses me a lot is the entire concept of the phases. When you look at the start and end of Phase 5, it's arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary. There is nothing about Ant-Man Quantumania that is the start of Phase 5. There's nothing at the end of Phase 4 to indicate that the phase has concluded. Is there actually no phase currently? Is this just the multiverse saga? Phase 6 to me confirms to me that there was never an intent to have it in a 3-act structure way like they did in the Infinity Saga or whatever it's called. Because Phase 6, it's not a phase. it's not a phase, Mom. It's the conclusion to everything that's come before, essentially. It's not like we've concluded a bit and now we're going to build up to the ending. It feels like we're just going into the ending.
In terms of Phase 6, is there anything that you hold any anticipation for, or is it just going to be, might watch it when it all comes out sort of thing?
To be honest, all of it. Looking at it, because it's got Fantastic Four, it's got Spider-Man, and it's got the Avengers films, and we haven't had an Avengers film in God knows how long. And it's got Daredevil Season 2, or Daredevil Season 5, whatever you want to number it. Thinking about it, I'm looking forward to everything in the next phase.
I definitely was not banking on us to be hopeful by the end, but to be honest, I kind of am. I feel like at this point, the only things we really have time for to get to the Avengers movies is just all the things that we want to see. Phase 5, I can't really deem it as much different to anything else like Phase 4. It's just more of the same. A lot of bright spots, a few really bad things, and a lot of middle ground, really. At least I can come out of Phase 5 kind of seeing where they're going to go with it, whereas I did not have that at all in Phase 4. It was all just on a hope and a whim. Going into Phase 6, you know, I actually have some projects that I'm excited about.
I mean, companies do ultimately go through ebbs and flows, so one can hope that we are heading into a flow. I am convinced, to be honest, that the Avengers films are going to be super messy, probably super bloated, but they're probably going to be a lot of fun. What is the point of Marvel if it's not a bit fun? But yeah, I will say as well, I am very intrigued as to what is going to happen in 2028 when these two massive Avengers films have been done. We would have done a much quicker video ranking Phase 6 and wondering what's going to come afterwards. I kind of hope if they're going to do phases, have a 3-act structure like they did in the Infinity Saga, build and then release, build, release, and then big build to the big release, rather than say it's a phase, but it's kind of just a splatter painting of stuff. All that to say, Phase 5 was in fact a phase of Marvel.
Yes, it was a phase of all time. The next thing releasing, or it might already be released by the time this is out, is Fantastic Four. Let's hope it delivers. We were Bantha Fodder. This was Phase 5 Ranked.
Bye!